Hello, hello. I am the marked one. Of course, not to be confused with the nameless one, the nameless marked one, the nameless part of me that does the gaming videos. I'm the marked one. And I like to say things that are, how shall we say, not acceptable to be said in public. I don't like to sugarcoat things because sugarcoating things are how things get censored. Censorship is wrong. It is a little bit ridiculous. That's not what I'm here to talk about today, about how you should not be a snowflake and you should grow up and accept the fact that people are not going to say things that you like. And if you don't like it, you can just distance yourself from them and the problem is solved. And if they go out of their way to hurt you or say things that you don't like, then they must have a reason to want to speak to you. Enough said about sensitivity. I wish to speak about the Second Amendment, and I know that's the main topic right now. Everybody's talking about the Second Amendment, COVID-19, or Black Lives Matter. I will not touch the other two, because it is not the topic of discussion as of right now. The Second Amendment, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the right of the people to bear arms shall not be infringed. Meaning, any weaponry that I have in my home, and on my person for that matter, shall not be taken away from me. Any weaponry. Now, I'm not going to say that we should be able to own tanks. I do think that we should be able to own tanks, knowing that if we do something foolish and irresponsible with them, we are responsible for the actions that come afterwards. If you blow someone up with your tank, you will get blown up, probably by an airplane, and die. It's a sad fact of life. If people misuse their weapons, they should have their weapons either taken or used against them. Now, you could argue that I just contradicted myself and say those who misuse their weapons should be taken, but I can't think of a single law-abiding citizen that I know who has misused a weapon. We merely have them. Yes, I have a Colt, not a Colt, it is a 1911 .45 caliber pistol with hollow point rounds that, if hit a person's body, would destroy their insides. I don't want to use it, but it's just like a seatbelt. You don't necessarily want to wear a seatbelt, but just in case your seatbelt comes in handy and saves your life, you'll be really happy that you had it. But the problem here is that by trying to take our guns away, which I will say to the government, you have done a very good job of confusing people, making them think that guns are actually evil. Good job. That is some very good mind trick there. But that's a problem, see. You try and take our guns away, most of us understand that if we lose our right to defend ourselves, all the rest of our civil liberties disappear along with that. Our freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press. I mean, as of right now, we could argue that the press is already underneath your thumb with CNN, Fox News, NBC. Oh, I could probably list a few more, but I'm not going to. But, you could say that. It's actually kind of true, because CNN is so full of shit right now, but that's not the point of discussion here. If you take away our right to defend ourselves, you will take everything else away from us until we end up being like China, and if we say anything against the government, we just go to jail or disappear. Hell, it almost seems like to me that, it's kind of a joke on iFunny right now, which is kind of defeating the purpose of spreading the word. If you make it a joke, no one cares about it. But Epstein, it almost makes sense to say that he didn't kill himself. And in fact, I full-heartedly, it's probably not the right word, but I wholly believe that in myself, that he didn't kill himself because he was onto something. And every time you figure out what the politicians and the rich are doing against us, they erase you because there are assassins out there and they do not cost that much. I could walk down the streets and pay down the street of Wichita, Kansas and pay a thug, $1,000 to go down and light your house up with an AK-47? Because a lot of people own those, believe it or not. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard. And they do that. That's why people just disappear out of nowhere. But the problem there again rises is the fact that you can't defend yourself. When you can't defend yourself, what's going to stop the government from doing that to you because you find out something minor? Oh, like you find out that stoplights are rigged so that when you try and pass through a yellow light, it turns red and you can get a citation for it. You find that out, if the government has too much power, they could throw you in jail for that and silence you for trying to speak against the government. It will slowly turn from, once we lose weapons, and this is worst case scenario, of course, I will understand that if I am right, if I am wrong, I will be considered a fool. I fully accept that responsibility. But if I'm right, and the worst case scenario does happen, and they take away everything, I will be considered a prophet. So will so many other people in the United States right now. But that's it. If they take our shit away from us, they're going to take everything else away from us too. That's just how it happens. It's how it's going to happen if we let this continue. And I do mean to say that if someone tried to take my weaponry from me, I will fight for my guns. And it's not just because I'm a gun-toting American. It's because I understand that if you take my guns, there's nothing I can do to... Well, I mean, I could pick up a knife, but come on, if you're going against the military, a knife isn't going to do you much good unless they're asleep, and they don't sleep very much. They have shifts. It's kind of a thing that they do. I just want everybody to know that if you try to take away our weaponry, I guarantee you, if not half the rest of the country, Texas alone will start a war with you. Because they understand that, and they like their guns. A lot of them are gun-toting rednecks that will say, fuck you, I will sit in the woods with a hunting rifle. Food for thought. Food for thought. Take our guns. You're going to try. You've been trying. And how much has it failed? Because that Second Amendment is still there. But the day you try and take away the Second Amendment, or the day you actually take our guns from us, there's going to be a lot of bad shit going on. It's not just going to be rioting and looting anymore. It's going to be a full-blown civil war, and I don't think you're ready for that. Food for thought.